Slow down. I just want to get to know you, but don't turn around. All right. Yesterday we were watching a little bit of this Epstein thing. I fell asleep towards the end before he changed his outfit, so rewinded it a little bit. Um, if you did watch, you saw how he was talking about the different financial things, but I kind of want to hear about these next few chapters that are coming up. Probably listen till about probably listen about like right there and then break the rest off for tomorrow. I don't want to be tired like I was tomorrow, and I'm thinking I'm driving to Michigan in the morning. That's what I'm thinking.
Went to jail June 30th.
So the entire summer.
Yes.
Before you went into jail, you were still very active in the financial markets.
Yes.
When you say active, you trade currencies every day. You trade stocks every day. When people,
I don't do any.
someone like you, or you give advice to people to trade stocks or trade currencies.
I don't trade every day. I think that's like Woody Allen said. It's you can't beat the bank. So I try to pick my spots. George Soros picked his spot when the pound collapsed. This would have been a great money
That's the same thing I say about Vegas. You can't beat Vegas. You got to pick your spots.
opportunity that passed me by when I was in jail, but that's not how I think.
In the run up to that, in the spring of 2008, that's when Bear Stearns got in problems, I think, in the spring of 2008, and they decided to bail it out. Did the Bear Stearns guys talk to you for advice at that time when the big crisis in Bear Stearns?
No, but see, again, unbeknownst to most people, and it's easy to blame people for the financial crisis, like you'd blame someone for giving your father the drink before he had his heart attack. But what really happened, the real enemy of the finance system was Bill Clinton. And if you ask me what and who caused the financial crisis, I would people. And it's easy to blame people for the financial crisis, like you'd blame someone for giving your father the drink before he had his heart attack. But what really happened, the real enemy of the finance system was Bill Clinton. And if you ask me what and who caused the financial crisis, I would tell you it was Bill Clinton.
Because of what Bob Rubin and he did to deregulate the financial system?
No. Because the last time we had our 60-minute interview, you talked to me about home ownership. And you asked me whether everyone should own a home. And I told you no, it's too risky.
So the financial collapse of 2008 is because of hardworking African Americans, Hispanics, and whites who wanted to have a ownership stake in the society that all rests on their shoulders. They're the culprits.
No, not at all.
Okay, then
I didn't say they were the culprits. I was pretty clear it was Bill Clinton.
Okay.
And why was it Bill Clinton? Because Bill Clinton wanted to get votes from those people. And
That's what I be telling my girl. I be like, damn, you think you just need to do a little bit more them glute pumps and it'll be firm and nice. So I don't have a nice ass. No, I said, and I'm not trying to draw similarities between me and Epstein. That's not my goal here. My goal here is to make sense of what the fuck. They made this nigga sound like he was the Loch Ness monster. He's a monster. I want to hear how he's a monster. I don't know if that's crazy. I want to hear how a man can garner over $1 billion in net worth, be friends with JP Morgan CEOs, be friends with people that go to the Trilateral Commission, be friends with these types of people, and then end up selling children. I want to know what I need to know everything. So I need to see interviews. I need to see all of that. And that's just pretty much it.
Sold them the idea that instead of renting in a house, and historically the values of houses have gone up, and he said, you guys in these local communities who haven't been able to afford a house before, I'm going to show you a way. I'm going to give you a way, because I'm sure I'll get your vote, that you can own a house, because I want your vote. So what we're going to do is I'm going to let you buy a house, Mr. Bannon, when you really, you're right on the border, maybe, or not even on the border. Your credit is not good. Okay, let's be honest. And it's not my fault, it's not Bill Clinton's fault, but if whatever happens, at the moment your credit score or whatever it is, your credit's not good. Now, normally, you come to me and want to borrow money, I'm a bank, and I say, I'm sorry, Mr. Bannon, I can't lend you money because your credit score is not up to where it needs to be. Hopefully, if you work harder and clean up some of your problems, it will be.
Okay. So what he's saying is normally when you have bad credit, you walk inside of a bank and you say, can I get a house? And they say, no, because you haven't shown that you know how to pay for it.
But no, what I say to you is, I'm going to figure out a way to lend you, not give you. I'm going to lend you money anyway, though you don't have a good credit score. And don't worry, I'm going to get rid of the term that you don't have bad credit. Bad credit sounds pejorative. You don't want to be a person.
Sounds judgmental.
Yeah, sounds judgmental. So what we're going to do is we're going to call your credit situation subprime. Oh, nobody knows what that means. Subprime. That means prime is good credit. Subprime is not good credit. Less than good credit. So we'll call it something that people really won't follow. And we'll tell you what. We're going to have people lend you money, though you are a subprime borrower, and I will figure out some government agencies to guarantee your loan, though I don't think you're a good risk. So the banks say, no, 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 we don't want, initially, the banks say, sorry, this is too risky, Mr. President, for us. We're in the business of managing risk. It's not our money. It's the hard-working people's money sitting in our bank. We can't lend to people whose credit is prime.
It's a lot of y'all that be expecting prime loan rates when y'all got subprime credit.
You're asking us to lend to people who are subprime.
You asking me to front this dude at eighth and he got subprime credit?
He says, here's the key, if you don't, Mr. Bannon, I'm going to make sure the Justice Department charges you with discriminatory lending.
You gonna make him snitch on me because I don't want to sell him an eighth?
Because you refuse to lend to my subprimers. In business terms, you should never lend to. But what we'll do is I'm going to form an agency called Fannie Mae and Ginnie Mae, just another agency names. They'll guarantee your loan. So don't worry. Don't worry. You don't have to pay it back anymore. Even though and maybe you don't even have to work as hard anymore. That's probably a harsh statement, but these players, these two big firms, Fannie Mae, will guarantee the fact that that bank will receive its money. Now, the bank says, wow, best deal in history. I refused to lend to Mr. Bannon, but now he has the big brother, his Uncle Sam. He went to his Uncle Sam, and Uncle Sam says, I'm guaranteeing it. The bank says, I want everybody. Give me as many people as you can give me. Because Uncle Sam is the best credit in the world. Not only it's the United States government. We'll take it all.
So pretty much what they're saying is at first they weren't giving houses to people. Excuse me, I'm sorry. That was very rude. At first they weren't giving houses to people, and then Clinton's like, yo, why aren't you selling houses to people? They're like, because they have bad credit. He said, if you don't sell them houses, and you better sell them houses, what's going to happen is we're going to sue you guys and say that it's racial discrimination. Doesn't this sound familiar? Why do white people think they can always hop in and help? As a matter of fact, let's not even say that, because it's not all white people. Not all white people is in niggas' business. It seems like it's the white folk who want to do stuff like this that be inside of our business. No King's Night, BLM, all these people secretly sponsored by the Soros community and people like that. It seems like the only time they want Negroes to be liberated is when they get paid for it. I don't know. But they said, loan these people the houses. We'll sue you if you don't. I said, all right. But what if we don't get paid back? They said, we'll make these new things called Fannie Mae and Ginnie Mae or whatever the hell he said, and they'll insure you to make sure that you get your money back. The banks were like, fuck it. We're going to loan to them. Started selling them houses.
We'll take as much subprime as we can handle because it's the best investment for the moment. It's a strange investment because it has politics that has inserted its way into the numbers. Politics doesn't belong in the markets. But now we're going to have, I want the votes, we'll make guarantees that you who can't get a house normally will be able to get a house from the bank. The bank says, this is the best deal in history. We will package 100, 300, 1,000 of you subprimers and we'll sell it off to somebody else. And the whole system becomes mired in subprime mortgages. That's becomes the
What do
issue.
you mean mired? There's just too much supply. It's a supply-demand problem. You get too much supply.
No, it's a
Hey
very
Siri,
good
what
question.
does mired mean?
What does too much supply mean? Well, then you get to people, go back to your first question to me,
No, Meyer.
government leaders. Government leaders
Hey
know
Siri, what does
if they're
Meyer
good,
mean?
and they can do mathematics, they can balance their checkbooks. So certain people in Congress said, well, how do you value these subprime mortgages?
L-I-R-E.
The banks say we've been valuing them the same way we've always valued them for the past
A
20
stretch or
years.
swamp.
The accounting firms,
Cost to be
there's
stuck
something
in
in this
mud.
country called GAAP accounting, which is a standard type of accounting.
I wonder what type
And
of
we
watch that
account for
is.
them the same way we've always accounted for them. If we paid $1,000 for your mortgage last night, when we put it on our books today, we're going to say its value is $1,000. Makes sense. I paid for it. What's its value? It's $1,000. That's what I paid for it last night. No. The Congress people said, that's not really a good answer, you know. That doesn't give us confidence that you know what you're doing. Because what happens if you have to sell it tomorrow morning? If something's happened and you have to sell it. Remember, there's kinds of stress tests. Would you be able to value it at what you paid for it the day before? And Wall Street says, that's not the way you can think about this. This is crazy. We always value things at the cost from the day before. And they changed the accounting method. in essence to say not what it was worth yesterday, but if I have to sell, what would it be worth? That's impossible. So what happens is every bank now has to value something they bought yesterday at lower than they paid. Never before in 20 years did they have to do this. So something they bought at 1,000, on their books was 1,000, is now 990. That starts to, you asked the question about what did I start to think about. Something's 1,000 and 990, this person now has to value it at 980.
When did you first start to
You
get
change
nervous? Understanding
outfits.
Bill Clinton in all this. Did you change glasses?
Yes.
Okay.
I changed shirt.
I saw that black.
Are you okay with the?
Yeah, great. I think we're gonna have all kind of changes. in this.
I'm experimenting. Okay.
When did you get a feeling? Did you ever anticipate before it happened something like 2008 could happen?
No.
How could that be?
Because it's the word I'm going to beat it to death is that it's very much like would I anticipate I'll have a heart attack tomorrow? Unlikely.
Was 2008 a heart attack or a stroke? Debilitating.
It's a better. I don't. It was both. But why was it both? Because in fact, as I said, the blood was getting dried up in the system, and the head, which is sort of the central bank, wasn't working. So to some extent, it was a combination. It was a crisis.
Did you see that building up over time?
It's always been lurking in the background. I mean, if you have an older parent, would you say it's possible? Did you anticipate him having the heart attack today? No, you hope things are going to go better and maybe they'll fix it up. The system was getting too complex, and it wasn't based on derivatives, because what people keep forgetting, and as I was just explaining, Wall Street and in many professions, including Wall Street makes it sound complicated. They don't want the little guy to understand what they do, because they make so much money, and they don't do very much. So they couch it in words like derivative and stock options and commodity futures and different types of contracts. It's all everyone is capable of understanding it. It is not complicated. But Wall Street, because they make so much money from doing fairly simple things, needs to make it more complicated than it really is.
We had a very big recession in the early 90s based upon real estate and Japan basically imploding.
Let's again,
Okay.
you had a recession in the 90s. I don't know what it's based upon. It's always interesting to look back and say, separate from there's certain triggers, like in the 70s there was a...
What do you think it was based upon, the 90s downturn? It's clearly there was a huge downturn.
No, I know there was a downturn. That's what I know for sure.
That's a fact.
That's all. Everything else is sort of speculation about why did he have that?
I understand that, but there's some speculation that has 0% probability of being true, and there's others that have 90%. In the range, when you look at the range of alternatives of what could have caused it in 90, and what I'm trying to do is get you all the way up to 2008. Look, you're the smartest guy in the room, right? You know that. Do you think there's anybody in the world today?
Oops, this is going to be a bad question.
No, but do you think anybody in the world today, the Alan Greenspans, the Bernankes, is there any central banker you know, any partner of any Wall Street firm, any guy running a trading desk, and I would take it that would be, or anybody at a Larry Fink at BlackRock, Steve Schwartzman at Blackstone, the top 100 financial guys, and let's throw in a couple of Nobel economists, and let's throw in the best professors at Wharton, at Harvard, at Stanford. Do you think that there's anybody that understands money or understands the world's financial system as good as you?
There must be.
But it doesn't come to the top of the head.
No.
Okay, fine. Now
Is
that I've gotten that, let's go back to 1990. In that arc from 90, from the fall of the Berlin Wall to 2008.
Good.
We had...
Dog, he's a murderer. Look at that face, bro. He's a fucking murderer, dude. makes you itch.
We started with the implosion in Tokyo of the Japanese economy, Japanese financial markets. We had the huge run-up in internet stocks, right? We had the implosion of that in 2000. The bankruptcy of Drexel Burnham in 90. Implosion of Japan, huge run-up in equity markets for the internet, implosion of the internet in 2000, 10 years later roughly. And then this run-up through the Iraq War and all that, the run-up to 2008. Every 10 years, it seems like, we're in some sort of 10 years before the 1990s was the 70s. Am I
You
just...
sound like an astrologer
Okay.
and not a financial person.
You're simply a mathematician. It just seems to me a pattern of every 10 years.
That's misleading. That's exactly right. Because people like to see patterns. People like to see patterns where there are none.
So a pattern of a financial crisis every 10 years is just in my mind.
Yes.
Long-term capital that had to be bailed out back in the late 90s when everybody panicked. And that wasn't a big, that bailout today would look small, and it was a $5 billion or was $30 billion.
Businesses fail all the time.
But they long-term capital, and the Federal Reserve stepped in.
But I'm saying people go bad. Things go bad all the time.
Yes, you're correct. The audience is watching this, the little guys, they go bankrupt all the time and nobody gives a shit. You know why? They're a little guy. But when long-term capital management goes bankrupt, or Bear Stearns goes bankrupt, or Lehman Brothers goes bankrupt, people care because
it's an unfair characterization.
Why do you say that?
Because again, it's the complexity of the situation. If you think about you have a complex system. You have your body. Now, in fact, the little guy is my finger. This is.
And Bear Stearns is your heart.
That's correct. The banking system is my heart. The system, I can't risk my because remember, it's not only my.
You haven't been able to name.
Hang on.
You haven't.
Hang on.
No, hang on.
I was trying to hang. I wanted to see if the hang on worked.
No. You haven't been able. You're not good enough. You're like junior wizard trying to do it. You haven't. I'll say, since we can't name another guy that's as good as you. There may be a couple out there. You're not bragging. You're humble. It had to be sometime. Please tell me there was some time before you went to jail and basically got cut off from daily information in the summer of 2008 that you started to get very nervous that this complex system, that something was deeply wrong.
Okay, first, let's go back. When I say no one understands the system better than I do, it doesn't mean I
You always
understand.
sound like a doctor. You're afraid he's going to get sued for giving a thing.
Yes,
You're not taking on any liability. There's no contingent liability here for your answers.
No. But the word understand is the problem.
Okay.
I don't understand the system. So I don't understand the financial
Will you
system.
please stop? You cannot sit here and tell me.
No.
What we just went through, I'll go through again. The hedge fund managers, the money managers, the central bankers, the commercial bankers, the heads of the investment banks, the heads of all the trading desks, the top economists, and I'll throw in the business school lecturers at Stanford. Of all the top 200, 250, you can't name at the top of your head the guys are at least at your level. You have to understand it somewhat.
No. Sorry. We all don't understand it. No one understands it. It's a miracle. That's part of the problem. It's impossible to understand. That word understand simply means if this happens here, that will happen there. It's predictable. Understanding means it's predictable. It's not predictable. That's the problem. In complex systems, that was the fascination. Is there a way to tease out some level of predictability?
So even
No. In fact, you would ask the question. It's a great question, which was it a stroke or a heart attack? Now, most people don't know that before they were going to have a stroke, they had a stroke. They just have a stroke. Do they understand why? In hindsight, you go back and you can make lots of explanations. It might sound good, and if you're talking to the working man, you're using language that he'll never understand. It's complex, so he, just like going to his doctor, he says he has a gastrointestinal problem or he has diverticulitis, as opposed to saying, you had a stomach ache, you ate bad food. People don't like to say it in normal, everyman terms. The system had a stroke, but we don't know why.
But you just, okay. Hardworking people, and there's a great social benefit, would you not agree, with people having ownership in the system?
When you say ownership in the system, it doesn't mean Okay.
Yeah.
So flip
Sorry.
over your phone too, because
Yes.
I don't want anyone to see
Yeah.
it on your phone. So maybe flip it down or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, who knows what the fuck comes up on that phone?
That's correct.
Which one has send you?
KSA.
I can't even get. I can't.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. What does KSA mean? You just said that.
Because
What did Bannon say?
I cannot believe I've got.
Let's start over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So flip
Sorry.
over your phone too, because
Yes.
I don't want anyone to see it
Yeah.
on your phone. So maybe flip it down or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, who knows what the fuck comes up on that phone?
That's correct.
Which one has send you?
KSA.
I can't even get. I can't. What the fuck comes up on that phone?
That's correct.
Which one has send you?
KSA.
Yeah, who knows what the fuck comes up on that phone?
That's correct.
Which one has send you?
K.
Which one?
Yeah, who knows what the fuck comes up on that phone?
That's correct.
Which one has send you?
KSA.
I can't even get. I can't not believe I've got the magic moment when you're in fucking prison or jail, wherever the fuck it is.
It's
in
crazy.
solitary.
Now, there's a funny part to that we missed, which is
So
said.
go ahead, tell it.
The
What's
funny
that?
part is
Yeah.
what you asked me.
Is there anything funnier than that?
No, no.
For black humor, it's.
I don't make any black comments. Sorry. You asked me what I was wearing.
That's right. You're too wrapped up in the Me Too movement.
Yes. So I was wearing a brown jumper and a brown pair of pants given to me by the jail with the word trustee on the back.
Because you had qualified to be a trustee?
Well, the funny part was it was spelled Trusty. So I wasn't really sure. I've been a trustee in many different operations, but it was the first time it was actually printed on my back and spelled incorrectly.
Probably had a higher level of being a trustee at that than you had at all the boards that you were trustees, right?
Yes, because the trustee meant you get two devices to clean your toilet as opposed to one.
Yeah, but it also meant that you had some sort of personal fiduciary own responsibility for oneself, right?
In the jail? You
Well,
mean?
that's what being a trustee is. That's why they give you two.
Yes, you get two cleaners. I was a trustee in the jail because I was able to teach some of the kids to help them get their GED. So that's how they gave me a trustee job.
There's no time. I got to go back to this because I'm like a dog with a bone in this thing.
Yes.
You can't. There's something deeply fucked up with you.
At least something.
Well, we know there are things deeply fucked up with this. You will get through in this film,
Right.
but you cannot possibly have sit there, knowing that you came from nowhere, knowing that you went to the very top of what is considered outside of science and maybe physics, the thing people most admire because it's like alchemy, understanding high.
Bro, Bannon knows something, bro.
I was a trustee in the jail because I was able to teach some of the kids to help them get their GED. So that's how they gave me a trustee job.
There's no time. I got to go back to this because I'm like a dog with a bone in this thing.
Yes.
You can't. There's something deeply fucked up with you.
At least something.
Well, we know there are things deeply fucked up with this. You will get through in this film,
Right.
but you cannot possibly have sit there, knowing that you came from nowhere, knowing that you went to the very top of what is considered outside of science and maybe physics, the thing people most admire because it's like alchemy, understanding
Why
high
does Bannon
finance.
know that?
To sit there in what will be the defining financial crisis of our time, like Black Friday or Black
Yes.
Monday, whatever it was, in the Great Depression, and be there at that exact moment, triggered in part by a firm that you used to be a partner in and knew intimately well, and it created much of your initial net worth because of, and know that you couldn't, someone who lives on a phone, right?
Yes.
Because you do live on a phone, right?
Correct.
You had to make just two collect calls. You cannot tell me sometime during that day you did not have that conversation with yourself of how the fuck did I do this to myself to put myself in West Palm Beach in a 6x9 cell with a metal fucking bed with a brown shirt that said trustee spelled wrong.
So did I find it amazing that I was there? That's a
Not
better-
amazing, and I don't want to say it was
No.
not funny. Oh, I thought it was.
I wasn't funny.
Right.
But
Not
I-
amazing.
no, it was incredible.
Incredible in what way?
This-
Incredible, like how do I do this to myself?
No. It's as incredible as me sitting here in this house. They are both just two sides of the coin.
That makes so much
That's how I
sense.
think about it. That,
Because my moms used to always say this. My mom's was on crack. My moms will always brag on this. She said that her number one skill was she was able to go from the crack house to the White House in the same day and be able to carry herself inside of both situations. So you need to be able to stay the same mentally, physically, and emotionally, whether you're in jail or you're inside of a $250 million penthouse in Manhattan. It makes sense.
life today is incredible.
Do you consider yourself a stoic?
No. I consider myself a hermit. Stoics are not very happy.
Being a hermit then, being in that 6x9 cell, being in the cell qua the cell was not the problem, right?
Correct.
What was the problem?
Eating the almond joy bars.
Because you couldn't eat the food.
No, right. And but remember, my life is.
Did that ever strike you that I can't eat the food because somebody might have done something to it? I gotta live off an almond joy bar, one a day or two a day or whatever. How many ever sneak in a day?
No sneaking in.
Your one almond joy bar, it did not hit you at some time? How the fuck did I do this?
No.
Said I'm taking big shots, just stop. Where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off.
Let's go back to the spring of 2008. Were you so wrapped up in your personal issues at the time you were not spending enough time on the financial markets, or were you deeply involved in the financial markets like you normally were? In
No,
the spring of 08?
I was involved.
So we're saying that the smartest guy in the room didn't see it coming.
No, of course
The
not.
bankruptcy of Bear Stearns, you just thought was a Bear Stearns problem. You didn't see it as systemic.
I know you keep harping on it, but it's not.
Because you're a mathematician and understands systems.
And
It seems that anybody that understands that they had a systemic problem, you would at least be the first on the early search radar. If you're not going to see it, then I'm really afraid, because that means that I always assume there's at least a set of guys out there that have some sort of sense that something's not right.
Imagine the guy who has a stroke or had the heart attack. When you ask him, did you feel funny the day before? He's going to tell you, yeah, I didn't feel right. Something was off. I didn't feel right. I had my stomach was right. I felt a little dizzy. I felt a little weak. But if you asked him that day before, do you think you're going to have a heart attack tomorrow? He'd say, no, I just feel a little weak. I'm a little dizzy. My stomach hurts. So these systems, and that's the issue of complexity. What complexity says is that, in fact, everything seems to go along, and people have seen it. One of the great examples of complex systems is sand dunes. In fact, the sand keeps building up. People have seen some, and all of a sudden, one more sand drop, and all the sand starts running down the hills. That's the way I see the financial market.
When you funded Santa Fe in the early 90s or late 80s?
I believe it was early 90s. I can get back to you.
But early 90s, Santa Fe was funded for the study of complexity theory.
It was math. So let's back up. So why did I buy a ranch in New Mexico in 1993? So that gives you some sense. So I would have funded it in 1990. Los Alamos, which was the high energy lab up in New Mexico, was losing all its scientists.
And
They were
Los
closing-
Alamos, it was where Oppenheimer and where a lot of the nuclear weapons program, the bomb.
That's
original
when the
bomb.
Manhattan Project.
Manhattan Project
Yes.
was
Yes, sir.
as Los Alamos, and you bought your property out in New Mexico to be near that?
Yes, because the scientists were going to be, they cut the funding for high energy physics. But the people who worked in Los Alamos would still be in the Santa Fe area.
They cut that because this was the Cold War dividend, right?
I don't remember exactly why. It was because, again, people thought that physics and high-energy physics really wasn't that important.
Because that was about nuclear weapons.
No, it was because they decided, which may be not right. This was the same time that Murray Gell-Mann came up with the term quark, Q-U-A-R-K. He picked it out of an old poem, the word quark. But it was mysterious. So they were starting to understand in the 90s that in our world of the physics world, there was things that were just unexplainable. They called it strange things. You gave it a name. You gave it some characteristics. You called it had charm, was one of the terms. It had a charm. It had a flavor. It had a color. But no one, Mr. Bannon, understood what it was. Just like the financial system.
And you wanted to investigate that.
I wanted to see if we could build tools so others smarter than me could help investigate it.
And that was the beginning of your concept of the Santa Fe Institute.
Yes.
And Santa Fe Institute was founded to do study in this type of...
Can these areas of strange things be described by some form of mathematics?
So that's what I'm trying to get at. The foundational thought, the organizing principle of Santa Fe
Yes.
and the high physics lab at Los Alamos, which had been the headquarters of Manhattan and the Trinity Project, right, the bomb.
Yes.
So you're talking about the elite, the high priest
Of physics.
of
And yeah.